Truth or Dare is an upcoming exhibition of women artists in Delhi. To tell us more about the exhibition, we have with us today the curator himself, Sandeep Biswas. Welcome to AIDEM Interactions, Sandeep.
Thank you.
Sandeep wears many hats. He is a teacher, a curator, an artist himself, a photographer, a documentary maker. Have I left out anything?
No, you said more than.
As I understand, he has a very impressive lineup of artists. Could you tell us a little bit about how you conceptualized this exhibition and how did you bring these artists together? A little bit about your process.
I, being a documentary photographer, I travel the length and breadth of this country. I've been to very, very interior places, and I've seen the whole patriarchal society, how the system works. You know, sometimes you wonder. I mean, you see so much talent in these small places. You see so much of talent everywhere among women, but you don't. What you realize is that a lot of them are not given the opportunity, the equal opportunity, because of the old age norms that communities and the people have been following. And it's just that living in a city, you see more equal opportunities, but even in the cities, the opportunities are not as equal as you would want it to be.
Yes.
So it was just an idea that came to me. It's just not that I'm kind of trying to be a revolutionary, but I am just a thought that came to me, that why can't things be equal? I mean, why, even being a man, I mean, I feel that unequal opportunity is a pressure on me. An equal opportunity, if I have my wife and my daughter and then having the same, it would ease out the pressure of being a man for me so much more. So this whole idea came into me, and I just thought that how do I express this? And as a photographer, unfortunately, I hadn't worked on this subject. But then I thought, since I'm a curator, there could be many photographers who have been doing that. Then what happened was, I started to search for photographers who have worked on the subject. Unfortunately, I could not find men photographers on this subject. I found women photographers, which means that the women were working on the subject of women breaking the gender stereotype, but it was not easy to find men, and actually couldn't find men. So I decided to also make it a women photographer show, because even in photography, the balance between the number of men photographers and women photographers isn't equal. There's still a very, very large demarcation between the two. It's still comparatively more male dominated. Obviously, not as male dominated as it used to be. It's getting better. Women photographers are coming in. They are bringing in a very different sensibility. They're bringing a very different approach to the way the medium is dealt with. There's much more. There's a certain sensitivity which is different, and it's getting better. But the thing is, it still needs to get more better. So that's how the idea came. And very recently, Ashna Singh from Studio Art, she just finished the art fair, the India Art Fair. And after the art fair, she was looking for an exhibition at the gallery. So she came to me to say that if we could do this exhibition and try and do the exhibition from a different perspective do a little different approach. So I started to reach out to photographers, and this time I thought, let me not just do photographs, but let me see if I can find different mediums. I even reached out to some performers, like theater artists and performance artists, but somehow the subject was dealt with more in a documentary manner, so certain mediums somehow didn't merge together. So
you have 3 photographers, 2 filmmakers, 1 photojournalist, and also the Gulabi gang.
Yes, that's an interesting story for me.
I would love to hear how you got the Gulabi gang involved.
Okay, actually, I had a photographer I wanted to include who had a similar subject of a gang called the Green Gang.
Okay.
And somehow the photographer I couldn't convince the photographer to be a part of the show. And I thought that was something that was a kind of a movement in the rural areas, which was very important. Because talking about atrocities against women's rights in rural areas where the education is not that much, the patriarchal system is so much stronger, and I thought it was a very, very strong subject, or a strong story to tell. So when I could not convince the photographer, I tried searching for photographers who had worked on the Gulabi gang. Unfortunately, nobody else had worked on the Green Gang, and except for that one photographer. So I started to look for photographers, and I could not find photographers who had worked on that. And just to look for a photographer, I somehow managed to reach out to the Gulabi Gang itself. They have a website, so through the website I contacted, and the Gulabi Gang, within the same day I sent an email, and the same day I got a call back from one of their office persons, who said, we would be very happy to support you. And I said, okay, so what do we do? So they had the image, they had the images in their archive. So we started to go through the archive. They started to send images through their archive, and then we picked up a few images from the archive, and I said, okay, if there is no photographer, but why not use a group which works for women's causes and women's empowerment to be a part of this show. It doesn't matter if they are not the artists or not, but they're still contributors to the exhibition.
Would you say the meaning of what is art and who is an artist has undergone a sea change?
It's very difficult to say who's an artist today, because it's the art today is no more that physicality that it used to be. It's now art is more of an idea. Art has become an activism, and anybody who's able to convey an idea through any particular medium, it doesn't matter how established they are and how many what medium they work with. Today, everything is finding its space in art. I mean, so many activists, may be gender activists, may be environmental activists, may be journalists, they are now dwelling in art because they're finding it a much more relatable medium to reach out to people.
And has the conception of a gallery also changed?
Absolutely. Galleries have become much more open. Now, it's not how we always saw art as, it's not those paintings and sculptures in a gallery anymore. So many galleries are taking risks, they're experimenting, they're thinking out of the box, and it also helps them position themselves much better and much more in the contemporary world. Today the way, and it becomes more international.
I read somewhere you had mentioned that photography as a practice used to not be seen seriously by art galleries, but because maybe it didn't sell as much, or people were confused as to how, because paintings, they belong in a gallery. But now increasingly we see more and more photographs also being seen by that light.
No, painting has always been there for a much longer time. I mean, how old is photography? It's just nearly 200 years old, whereas painting is thousands of years old. So it's a much more established medium. Photography is a much newer medium. But only thing is that there is paintings, there's one difference, that it is not the galleries, it's more of the collectors who think about the medium when they're buying it. The reason being, photography has something called edition. So there is a multiplicity of a print. You can multiply a print into editions. You can sell the same print to multiple people. Whereas if you have a painting as a buyer, that painting is exclusively yours. Nobody else has that same painting.
Right.
So that has been, but there are people who understand the fact that photography is not just what you see on a paper, but there's a much, much deeper meaning within what you're looking at. And that's where the art is. It's not taking the picture that's important, it's making the picture that's more important.
And some photographs also look like paintings.
Well, that's the physicality, but today photography or any medium, may it be sculpture, installation, video, painting, photography, today they're not dependent on their physical form anymore. The value is in the concept, the value is in the idea, value is in the language, the value is what is trying to convey through the creator. That's where the art has changed. It is not anymore that physical effort that photographers or artists would have done many years back. It's not that's where also the contribution of women photographers have become more important.
You have Pooja Awasthi in the show. I'm personally looking forward to her work.
Yes, so are we. It's a very interesting work.
Please tell us a little bit.
Yes, actually, Actually, I was just, when I was searching, I managed to get find this website called that Pari, which is People's Archive
Of rural India.
Rural India. Yeah, yeah. So that site I was just going through, because knowing that there are stories about women in that, I just wanted to see what stories are available, and I just came across this story, and it was such an interesting story about, rural Bihar women forming a women's wedding band, which
Oh.
you never hear about. And she had done photographs and video. So we have actually created a multimedia out of it, and so it's going to be running on a screen, a television screen, where the images will go, and then in between the video will also run. So we are, it's because keeping the video separately and the print separately wasn't working. So we tried to put it in a way where it made more sense to have them both together cohesively. So it was interesting. She was a journalist. She said, "I'm not a photographer, I'm a journalist." But I said, "No, but this work is so meaningful." So that's what I've been looking for, something that's meaningful. It doesn't matter who it comes from, but it needs to be very, very meaningful. And it needs to touch upon the viewer. Because how many people would know about this story? How many people would know? We don't even see a wedding band of women in the cities. It's all 100%
I have never
men.
seen one.
I've never seen. So it intrigued me so much, and I found it such an interesting, strong subject to talk about. So this exhibition is more about what we want to say, what we want to express, what we want to convey through different practitioners.
And the two filmmakers you have,
Yes.
one film is on skateboarding and the other is on a women boxer, if I'm not
Yes, so there is Sasha Rainbow. She's a New Zealand-born filmmaker. She made this film called Kamali, which has been nominated for BAFTA also. So I just found this film online. I couldn't find how to connect her. This time I worked harder to find how to reach her. And then it's a film. It's a 25-minute film about a mother who has an 8-year-old daughter, and the mother feels that because of the patriarchal system and the men in the community, she could not live the life she dreamt. She had no freedom to live. She had to. So even she says in a line that I had to leave my husband to give my daughter the life I wanted to give her. So she separated from her husband to empower her daughter. So you can understand how difficult the system of men is in those communities. And so she started to encourage her daughter to learn skateboarding, where she has Kamali has a American mentor who has been teaching her skateboarding and sea surfing. As a matter of fact, Kamali has been also rated as the top 3 rising stars in the world for sea surfing.
Wow.
Recently, there was an article in Hindu which mentioned that.
Okay.
So it was. I thought it was a very inspiring film. It's a beautiful film. I think you must come and watch it. Sasha was very supportive. She said, "No, I'll contribute this film." I found Anuradha Rana going through many. I had been researching online for months and months and months on this, and Anuradha had done a very interesting film about the first ever Muslim woman boxer in India, from a very conservative family. But interestingly, the film also shows very supportive family which wanted her to live her dreams. So it's about 2 women. So one who became the first ever Muslim woman boxer in India, and other who has become a boxing coach. So they are with the sport, So that's about a 25-minute film. So Anuradha Rana, I mailed. I said I want the film. I didn't get a reply for a couple of days, and then suddenly after 2 days, I get a mail saying, I was on a flight from Delhi to Chicago. She's Chicago based, though she's an Indian, but she's based in Chicago. So she said, "I just landed. I saw your mail, and I'm going to contribute my film for your exhibition." And I said, "How wonderful! Because this is going to make this exhibition so much more meaningful."
Yeah, and you also have a Kalari Payattu artist?
No, that is Naja, who's a German photographer, photojournalist. And she had come to India, and she had documented one of the Kalari gurus, who's a lady, and who teaches young girls in the South the martial art. So it was very interesting. As a matter of fact, we have used her image on as the main image on the
Yes.
invite and on the
Yes.
website and everything. So
Yes.
she's got Padma Shri for her contribution to the uh, uh, martial art and for teaching and her contribution to Kalarapaitu and so it was a very strong story. So I reached out to her. She was in Germany. She's based out of Germany. So I asked her, but she said, I will find it difficult to send you prints because I'm traveling. I have got a lot of projects. It will not be possible for you to send prints. And for a moment, we thought, okay, maybe she's not part of the show. But I kept thinking, and one day idea struck me. I said, what if I show your images on a screen or a projection digitally? And she said, yes, I would love to do. I would love to love that. It'll make my life easier and I would be able to be part of the show. And I said, why not? So she sent images, so we're going to be digitally projecting the images in the exhibition. So I think we are not worried about how the exhibition images have come, but I think the whole idea of having prints and digital projections and films, I think, is making it a more interesting culmination of how the exhibition is going to look at the end.
And I also want to ask you, the space of feminism is also a contested one,
yes.
and it gets a lot of flack.
Yeah.
And women are done speaking about women's
Yes,
issues
yes,
and rights.
yes.
And we also say that men also need to talk about women's issues.
Yes,
Otherwise, we
absolutely.
cannot really bring it. As a man, bringing all these women together, working in this space, what is your perspective?
What is my perspective? Actually, honestly, like I said initially, I didn't think it was the idea of women empowerment which was with me. I didn't think about bringing in women photographers and filmmakers initially because I thought let it be everybody's perspective. But it didn't work because it was more women who were working on that subject. It must be everybody's perspective to start thinking on the subject.
Anything else you would like to tell us about the exhibition?
Paramita has done a very interesting series on young girls from marginalized communities from Bengal. So these girls want to play football. They love football, and Bengal is a football crazy state. So even the girls want to play football, but the men don't see it as a women's sport out there. So I think there's an NGO that is supporting these women to fulfill their dreams of playing football, and the Paramita kind of collaborated with that NGO to document these girls who want to become footballers. So it's an interesting to see how we have. I mean, we don't. I mean, India is not a football crazy country anyway. I mean, except for a couple of or 2 or 3 states in India. So it's interesting to see how that slowly the mindset of people is changing. These girls are able to play at least, So if they are able to play, if they're able to get to the ground, play football, they're getting their jerseys, they're playing matches. At least what I feel positive is that there's a little bit of a positive change among the communities in areas which are conservative, And then Richas is a very interesting series, and it's very, very strong images again. So she has worked on this troupe called the Mahila Yakshagana.
Okay.
And Yakshagana, I don't know if you know the history of it. It's a 16th century theatre dance form from the south, from Karnataka, Kerala, and primarily originated in Karnataka is what I got to know after searching. So for centuries, it was only performed by men. Women were never part of this dance form. So even the women's part was being played by men. So in 1989, there was a troupe that was formed of only women.
Okay.
And she documented their performances, their backstage, what they do, and how they get ready, and how they perform, and how people accept them. So it's interesting to see that, a community that is very difficult to change, especially these old traditions are not easy to change, but they I think people accepted it, so which is very interesting to see that people are accepting. So I think there's a positive change. People are changing. So maybe it's a slow change, but there's a change, and a change means that it will move towards the better only. I mean, that's how I would look at it. And then Sahiba's done a very interesting series on the first ever woman auto rickshaw driver in Delhi, and about her life. You know how she has, how she is also still even today struggling and fighting against a profession which is totally men dominated. How it's difficult for her to be among those people. Even today, I'm sure even not everybody is going to accept a woman there. But she's staying, holding strong. She's not giving up, and that's the fight she's fighting for her survival, for her life. But she's there. So that's how it is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What do you hope to achieve from this exhibition?
I honestly, I think it's not for me to achieve alone. So it's not for me to achieve alone. It's just an idea that needs to be conveyed, which needs to reach out to people. I think it's for everybody to understand the new age feminism. Feminism is an important movement. This is that feminism slowly needs to also transfer to people who don't believe in that. So I think I believe in and
I think the important point that you're trying to make is all of these women may never have heard the word feminism, but they are also part of the feminist movement.
Yes.
They are also fighting for equal rights.
I like those women in Bihar. I'm sure they don't even know what feminism means.
But that doesn't matter. That is the beauty of the movement, you know.
Yes. So I think it's also about equal opportunity. It's about survival. It's about being who you are. It doesn't matter what gender you belong to.
Exactly.
And today gender has the issue of gender has also moved beyond just men and women. You know, it's gone way beyond that.
It's more of a gender social construct than a biological determinant.
Absolutely. So that's what I think that's what I had mentioned in my curatorial note. You know, that's what it is. And I think I mean, if you look at it, I mean, it's not that it's only in India. It's not equal all over the world. It doesn't matter how developed many countries are. But okay, for me, I think India is definitely a much more challenging space than many because of the way how complex our social structuring is.
That's true, and very rigid.
And how old it is, and how
almost feudal.
And how feudal it is. Exactly.
Okay, it was wonderful chatting with you, Sandeep.
Thank you so much. Same here.
Wish you all the best for the exhibition.
Thank you so much. I hope you do make it. You must come. Everybody here should be there for that exhibition. It's an open invitation to everybody.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.